welcome back. I haven't even had my first sip of coffee today. We are just getting rolling here, and it's been a minute since I've actually sat down and filmed. LOL at me. I've just been giving hermit vibes. What can I say? Giving antisocial. But today is one of my favorite videos to bring to you. It's a very important video for all of us. So, without further ado, you know how I like to start these, especially this year. We're gonna start with the stats. Oh, by the way, it's April. Well, it's May now. Oops. It's May now. But these are my April reads. Bear with me here, okay? We are gonna look at these stats. I'll put them up on the screen for you. Do not fret. But let's see what I read in April. This month I read a total of 7 books. I like that. That's kind of on par to the amount I want to hit every month. That's realistic to me. Ideally, I'd probably read like 14 books, but that's in another universe. Okay, let's look at the moods from this month. Mysterious, funny, and dark were my top 3. Those are the heavy hitters. Dark is actually making its way to the top in a lot these last few months, which is weird because I wouldn't have guessed that would be in my top 3, but I guess I'm just reading some dark books. What can you do? So those are the moods. Let's look at the genres, which I find the most fun. What stat do you find the most fun? Like when you're looking at what you've been reading, is it like format, star average? I also like star average because I like numbers, but let's look at the genres. We have romance as number 1. I could have guessed that. 4 out of the 7. Mystery is 2, and then yet again we got YA on that list, tied with contemporary. So a lot of romance, a lot of mystery. I can't wait to get to the details. Like, I want to pause and be like, so let's talk about it. We gotta get through all the stats first. So next is the format, and I actually, for once, like, I don't know if this has ever happened any other time, I listened to more books than I read. Kind of wild. So I listened to 4, read 3, 2 of which were physical, and 1 was an ebook arc, actually. And my library came through for me this month because 4 of the books were from the library, 1 was from Spotify. Use your Spotify hours, y'all. Don't sleep on your Spotify audiobook hours. I have been. So finally using my Spotify to its full potential. I own 1, and then, oh, the last one was an arc, like I said. So, I'm like, let's get into it. Last but not least, my star average, which will give you a picture for the month, it was 3 stars. I feel like that's kind of been the consensus most months this year. I hope that, that goes up, but 3 stars, it was a fine month is really what that says to me. It's like, okay, I read a lot of okay stuff. So, without further ado, finally, let's get into the details about the books I read in April. I'm going to go in the order I read them. That's pretty much how I always do it. So let's start off with one of the heavy hitters from this month, Heartless Hunter by Kristen Ciccarelli. This book, let me give you a picture of this book first. Let's get started here. This is a novel that was released just this year. It is a romantic fantasy duology, so the second is not out yet, but it's going to be a duology. This features a witch and a witch hunter during kind of a Regency-esque era where witches are no longer accepted in the community. They are hunted for execution, but these two kind of get tangled up in each other. One thing that this book served was, like, I love them mutually trying to kind of trick each other or get information from each other. Like, they're both trying to play each other, but truly they're just playing themselves because they're in love. Ugh! I love it. Living for it. This one ended up receiving a 3.75 for me. It was very strong. It just wasn't quite like to the next caliber level for me. I really truly loved the witchcraft, like the magic system they had in place, how it was kind of like you take some, you give some situation. And I did love the cat and mouse dynamic between our witch and witch hunter. I really think this novel had a lot of what you want when you pick up a romantasy. It had dual POV, twists and turns, morally gray, realistic characters, and a plot that wouldn't quit. Every chapter was interesting. I did read this while I did sprints the other day, and in a recent vlog, I talk a little bit about how it's going while I'm reading it. I really enjoyed it. I just have so many good things to say about it. I don't know what totally held it back in the end. Like, I just don't know that it was like that caliber of writing and character development. Like, it just wasn't reached. Also, our witch is kind of a vigilante. We didn't get to see her do that, like be a vigilante, which I kind of was like, okay, I want more from these characters. I want to see more. But I really feel like this was a great start to this new duology. I loved the ending. The ending was like the best part. It really set us up for book 2. The anticipation is genuinely already killing me. Pick this one up. Maybe pick it up closer to when the second one's coming out if you're impatient like me. But it was definitely worth the read. I would recommend this to any romantasy lover. No doubt. Next, I read Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This is by Jesse Q. Sutanto. I actually ended up listening to this one. This one is a cozy mystery about a 60-year-old tea shop owner who's struggling with loneliness. She's widowed and kind of has an avoidant son. She's left feeling bored and she's nothing really going for her until everything changes when a dead body is found in her tea shop and she decides she's going to solve the murder. So that is the premise for this one. Let me just say, this audiobook was so amazing. I ended up giving this a 3.5. I really enjoyed it. I think if you are going to pick this up, you're doing yourself a disservice by not picking up the audiobook. It's so immersive, the characters feel so real. She does a wonderful job including a great mix of culture and humor and wonderful representation of like so many different types of people, cultures, situations. Like, she really does a great job capturing that. This book in particular, I really loved because it had a great found family. The way she described the food that they eat, I was drooling while reading it. I'm not kidding. I made my husband order out so many times because of this book. Like, I was like, I have to eat Korean. I have to go to the Taiwanese place because this book just like had such vivid descriptions of food. I had no other choice but to order takeout while listening to it. I don't know if I'm ready to talk about this one because this is probably what really pulled down the star average. I shared at the beginning. This is the arc I read called If I Stopped Haunting You by Colby Wilkens. This one comes out, I believe, October 15th. I will put the publication on the screen just to double check that. But this one did end up being a 1-star for me. So we got some difficult notes to cover, on this one. This is an enemies to lovers romance about 2 feuding writers, and they get tricked by a mutual friend into attending this writing retreat together. It's in Scotland, and they're staying in this castle, but oh no, could this castle be haunted? ? That's kind of the premise. That's what's happening within this novel. Oh gosh, it was just such a doozy, and I as much as I do like talking crap about books, sometimes it is hard when it's like I just don't even know how to be constructive about this book. I'll start out with things that were interesting or more positive about this book. I was really excited for the representation that this book was bringing to the table. I really thought the premise at the very beginning was interesting. These enemy writers are going to be forced to have close proximity. So I was interested in those elements, but yes, I think that might be where the kind words end. Within the first, I swear, 15% of this book, the tension between our enemies was killed. And they already were having really lustful thoughts about each other. They were already really interested in each other and kind of wanted to work out the situation. And for me, like, that is not enemies to lovers. And I do think enemies to lovers is being thrown around as a descriptor way too often if you're going to not fully give the enemies a chance to be enemies before being lovers. So that was really hard when you take away that element so early in the book that's going to keep me interested, and they're already going to be interested in each other. I think that is like the initial blow for this book. The second was this haunted house element that was apparently present. Let me just say, it was just so lackluster, so uninteresting. Like, these hauntings were not giving anything. It had me skimming the last, like, I'm not kidding, 60 to 70% of this book. But I feel like I invested too much time to not say that I read it. So maybe someone who has more patience would like this more. I did not like our characters. Like, to round out all of that, so boom, boom, we already got 2 strikes. Strike 3, I really did not like our main female character. She was very toxic, unwilling to change, and she did some pretty messed up things to our male character. And I feel like there was no character development. It was just like, well, like, we'll just get over the fact that she was kind of very toxic. And I just wasn't here for that. That's not what I'm looking for in a novel. Like, it really missed on practically every chance it could for me. And yeah, those are my final thoughts. I probably will not talk about this novel again because I don't want to, be so negative. But this one is one I just don't suggest picking up. I'm happy to be done discussing that particular novel. Let's move on to my next read, which was Finlay Donovan Rolls the Dice. This is the 4th installment in the Finlay Donovan series. This is a cozy mystery series about a single mom who is a suspense novelist, but she often finds herself in mysteries of her own creation. This is the 4th one. So obviously I'm not going to give a lot of details here. I'm just going to give very broad thoughts on this one. I ended up giving it a 3-star. Of course, we are getting Finlay and Vera and all their mischief and shenanigans that we love. And this time it's on a road trip. So I thought the premise was interesting and captivating enough. The thing is, I always love listening to these. Like, even if it's not a 5-star, I really enjoy these characters, spend a lot of time with them so you feel like you know them. I think I was a little let down because the 3rd installment, I want to say that one's Finlay Donovan Jumps the Gun. I loved that one when they're at like the police academy learning things. I thought it was so fun. So I'm going to keep going with this series. Again, I love these characters. This installment just didn't do as much for me as the last one did. But here's hoping, I'm ready for number 5. Here's hoping it brings more to the table. And I'm not going to stop reading these. There's, I got nothing better to do, really. The next one I'm not excited to talk about because I'm giving too much away. But I was a little let down by this one because I love this author so much. I listened to The Reappearance of Rachel Price by Holly Jackson. This one is, to give you a little synopsis, this is a YA mystery thriller about a girl who's trying to uncover the truth of her mother's disappearance while participating in a documentary about her mom's disappearance. So, I love Holly J, okay? She's my girl. A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, 5 Survive, I could talk about to no end. This one, however, I ended up giving it a 3.25, so not a terrible rating, but the pacing on this one was such a struggle for me. I think at the end of the day, that's what really hurt this book for me. I liked Belle. I've seen some, varied opinions on Belle as our main character. I know she's a bit of a, you know what I'm thinking, but I liked it. And I liked how they showed her relationship with her mom, and I thought it was realistic, and the strains seemed very normal for the situation she was in, if that makes sense. I'm trying to be a little bit vague. I don't know. I think it could have maybe used some editing to help with the pacing. I also like, girl, all I remember from this is like, girl, why your tummy always in knots? Why do we always have to hear that your gut is in a knot, babe? I get it. But like, we could have done with like 10 less of that comment. And specifically, I did, however, love Ash. What a great, like, a bit of a joyful light in the darkness, a bit of a comedic relief, if you will. But I do feel like his role was kind of cut short. I wanted this to be more like A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I guess like I wanted this team who's like solving this mystery together, and it just kind of fell off for me. But as always, I have to give credit where it is due. Holly Jackson always makes all the clues add up and make sense. Like, it's very believable. We know how we got here and why. So you always got to give her credit on that. It just wasn't my favorite of her works. Next is another book that I listened to, and this one is Butcher and the Blackbird by Brynne Weaver. Where do I start with this book? This book is about two serial killers who are in love. There you go. That's the tea. This one ended up being a 2.75 for me. Before you click out, before you hate me, before you leave your little hate comment, I will explain myself. Because if you loved it, I do get it. You know, I get it. One, let's just talk about the audiobook in particular. Oh my gosh, such great voice actors. Amazing, stunning, 10 out of 10. All the scenes were hot, steamy. I get it. I get that. The long list of trigger warnings at the beginning of this book are put there for a reason, and they should not be ignored or bypassed. I think I just saw so many people loving this, and I was like, some of those trigger warnings are concerning, but everyone's loving it. It's fine. I'll just pick it up. This book is going to test your tummy, potentially. It definitely tested my tummy. That, I would say, is my main criticism, and I think that criticism is my fault, right? Listen to those trigger warnings. If any of them sound like they're going to make you queasy and nauseous and unhappy, don't pick it up. But I will also add, I didn't feel like there was a ton of depth in this book. I feel like it was more of a novelty. You know, it's more novel. So I think that's where the intrigue comes from. But it was very much an insta-love situation. There was not a lot of personality coming from either of our characters, in my opinion. And a lot of nasty killing situations that, again, were not what I'm about. So you could love this, but I just want you to take those trigger warnings seriously. And even if those things didn't happen, I still felt like their relationship didn't have a lot of depth or intrigue. So at the end of the day, wasn't for me, but still love the queens that love it. Go book talk, go. It's just, I've been tricked. I was tricked on this one. Final book, and again, this one I think I expected a little more from. For me, it's a very anticipated read. I'm sure you've already seen it in the thumbnail, but that was Emily Henry's Funny Story. Okay, where do we start? To kind of give you an idea of what this book is about, I'm sure you have not been able to escape the synopses for this book, but it is giving small town, roommates to lovers, fake dating, and honestly, I would say a good amount of steam for Miss M. Hen. So that's kind of the idea. I would give like the actual synopsis, but I'm sure you've heard it by now. So let's get into the nitty-gritty details about this book. We obviously get Emily Henry's signature banter dialogue that I love so much, that so many of us love. Oh, also peep the shirt. Did I show the shirt? She's my girl. She is my girl. Still love her, but I just felt like this one didn't stand out for me, and maybe I felt less connected to these characters than I have past novels by her. I think these characters had great tension and chemistry. I loved the fake dating element because she made it feel so realistic. Like, I could see two people absolutely getting to this fake dating situation. But I'm going to say at the end, after finishing the novel, like halfway through, I was like, I was buzzing, okay? Sorry if anyone's British, oh my god. But I was really enjoying it. The end kind of just solidified this like little nagging in my head that was like, are these two meant to be together? I couldn't help feeling and wondering like, do I think these characters are endgame for each other? So I ended up giving it a 3.75, still so beautifully written. If you can relate to these characters, I'm sure you'll rate it higher. I think that makes a huge difference with Emily Henry's books. But if you're curious, since I have my wardrobe on and we're chit-chatting, my Emily Henry rating stands as such. So also maybe this will help you get an idea of like which of her novels I love the most. Number 1, oh, should I go backwards? Let's go bottom to top. Starting at 2 stars is People We Made on Vacation. That's my number 5. Book Lovers, a 3 stars, number 4. Funny Story is number 3 at the 3.75. Number 2 is Beach Read at a 5 star. And then number 1 is Happy Place at a 5 star as well. It's been a while since I've picked up Beach Read, so it is hard for me to tell if that or Happy Place really truly ranks higher, but I've most recently read Happy Place, so it stands out in my mind a little more. Anyways, y'all, those are the books. We are cut and dry. We are done, but it is time for one of my favorite little elements. I mean, I've been loving adding this. It is time for my favorites from April. This month was particularly hard to narrow down, which is a great thing because so many fun things happened this month. Honorable mention to my husband's birthday. Clearly, nothing will ever top his birthday, but we are talking specifically about this April, so we're going to get into some specific favorites. This actually placed like on the 31st of March, but we're rolling it into April because I had already done my favorites from last month. Anyways, we don't care about the details. What matters is that I got to see Pride and Prejudice 2005. If you know, you know. But I got to see it in theaters. Our theater did like a throwback weekend and brought it back. I fear that it has completely changed my life. And even my husband, who the times he's seen it, he's been like, okay, it's fine, whatever. He really enjoyed it because it takes more focus, and when you're in the theater, like, you were just more focused on the movie. But it was so magical. Genuinely, if they brought it back every month, I would go every month. And if you know me, you know that is so true. Not a word of a lie. I would go and see it every month if I could. So that was just like an experience I never thought I'd get to have since it was released so long ago. So magical, so amazing, an absolute full 10 out of 10. Next, I am going to mention, I know I already talked about it a little because I talked about all the takeout I had to order, but we ordered some of the best Korean food I've ever had, ever. I have no words for it. It's like traditional Korean food. It's so good. It's unmatched. Truly, now I want to order it for dinner. I might text my husband literally after I finish filming this about our evening. It is so unbelievably good. And that's really what you need to know. If you have the option to try some traditional Korean food, I highly recommend it. But anyways, it ended up being a favorite this month because we just couldn't get enough of it. Next is one that is like leading to more exciting things, and I think that's what made it so specifically exciting. We got to meet the people we will be getting our puppy from, hopefully, if everything goes to plan. We got to meet them, their dogs, and one of the litters of puppies that they had. So unbelievably cute one, and so exciting. Obviously the litter we would get our puppy from has not been born yet, but we are so excited that we were able to like finally meet them and kind of solidify the fact that we're getting a puppy. It's so exciting. I need a better word for it. I'm just so happy that we got to meet them and it finally feels real that we'll be getting a puppy this year. Next, let's take it back to the treats for a second. We went to Denver and we went to this little marketplace. It's like an inside marketplace that has different businesses and establishments. And I'll put the name of it up here if you are in the area and want to try. We went to this bakery and had a La Roulette. Actually, we had like 5. And thank goodness I don't live there because I'd be going there like every single day. It's like this little perfect flaky pastry filled with cream. The matcha one is so good. We also got a raspberry cheesecake one that was literally like a high-class jelly donut. That's how I would describe it. But anyways, so good, super memorable. I really wish I could go back right now, honestly. And last, oh my gosh, this is about dogs again. Truly, Cavaliers, I guess, ruled my life this month. So a lot of dog favorites. But we went to 2 meetups this month. We've been trying to go to Cavalier meetups with Darcy so that he could meet some new dogs and kind of get acclimated to some younger dogs in hopes that he'll be okay with the puppy. Here's hoping. But it's been super fun. We went to one that had, no joke, over 30 Cavaliers, which was really like novel. It was a very fun experience. But we've been more consistently going to smaller meetups. I say this like he's going to playgroup, like he's our kid and he's getting graded on this. That's concerning for its own reasons, but anyways, it's been super fun. It's been great to connect with other people who have the same dogs and just getting to see him play. All in all, a month full of tons of fun. We went out to this Japanese place with my husband's family. That was so good. There were so many good things that happened this month that I just can't even share them all without making it like its own video. But trust that this month was unmatched. Hoping May brings all the good vibes. Speaking of May, wow, what a great lead-in. I will not be doing a May TBR this month. If you are like really missing the TBR, let me know. Be like, oh, I'm sad that you're not doing one this month. I love the TBR. It's like my favorite video. Let me know if you really like them, because here is the thing that I've really realized about myself. If I put a book on the TBR, it is truly a death sentence for that book. Like, the chances of me picking up that book are so slim at that point. It's kind of horrific. Although this month I actually did read 3 off of the TBR, so that was kind of a surprise to all of us. But anyways, I just wanted to let May be May. I'm just rolling with it. Whatever I feel like picking up is what's going to happen. And I'm just going to kind of see how I like that. But I love making videos that you guys want to see. If you love the TBRs, I'm totally back with it, ready to go in June. I just kind of want to give myself a break and let myself run wild. I gotta take a minute to thank you guys for being here, watching along. If you've watched to this point, put a little book stack emoji and let me know your favorite book that you read this month. So it goes. It is time to love you and leave you, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Cheers.